Okay, welcome back for the next lecture, and today we continue our discussion on the bending of shells. This was the one of the previous equations we derived in the previous lecture. So we had sigma fx equal to 0, and we wrote these are the equilibrium equations. Along sigma f phi circumferential direction the forces are balanced, fz equal to 0, mx equal to 0, m phi equal to 0, and sigma mz equal to 0. And this was the shell we considered, the cylindrical shell. The directions are also shown in this picture. Now what happens if we consider that the loading and the geometry are axisymmetric, are symmetric with respect to its axis? Then what happens is all the derivative with respect to this circumferential direction will vanish, and the stresses, that is n phi x and x phi, they become equal to 0. If they are equal to 0, mx phi and the twisting moment also becomes 0. So this whole setup is very much simplified when we consider the loading and the geometry of the shells symmetric with respect to its axis. So let's see how we can use these type of equations in our analysis. So we consider the axisymmetrically loaded cylindrical shell. Okay, in that case, for example, if you consider a water pipe, a tank, a kind of boiler, or any pressure vessel which is under internal pressure, so you can consider it as an axisymmetrically loaded cylindrical shell. Okay, so many of us have already done this type of derivation when we studied in solid mechanics, the thin cylinders and thick cylinders. These are also cases of axisymmetrically loaded cylindrical shells. Okay, so now this has applications in analysis and design of let's say pipes, tanks, and then any pressure vessel under symmetrically applied pressure. It can be internal or it can be external. Okay, so how it changes in the equilibrium equation. So I am drawing that same picture again in a slightly different form. This is a cylindrical shell form, and here we have this is the radial direction, so this is r. We consider this extended angle as d theta. This is our z direction, which is inward, and then we have x direction, and we have similarly perpendicular to this plane is the y direction. Okay, so these are Cartesian coordinate system we have already written. Now coming to the stresses, we have nx, and in the increasing x direction we have nx. There is some incremental change, dou nx by dou x dx. So this partial derivative can be made as an ordinary differential equation by changing this dou to d, because this is not changing with respect to the circumferential direction. And similarly we have n theta or n phi, you can write this is n theta. There is no change in the circumferential stress resultant n theta, because the variation is not there along the theta direction. So therefore we don't consider this n theta. So this length we have is dx, and the other direction is r d theta. Fine. Similarly, we also have in this direction we have the stress resultant Qx in the shear direction Qx dQx by dx, and in this direction we have Qx. Q theta will not be there in this figure, and also we have m theta will not vary along theta direction. This is m theta, and we have mx moment, and on the other direction the moment is changing, that is mx plus dmx by dx. So this is the incremental change in the moment. Now let us assume that we have some p internally, or some pressure applied along x direction, and in the radial direction we have PR. We also have Px and PR are the pressure applied along x direction and along the radial direction r. So this is the free body diagram of the cylindrical shell. Now we know that only the stresses are acting are n theta, m theta. This do not change along theta direction, so these are constant with respect to theta. Okay, and because of the symmetry we can say that the circumferential displacement, that is v along the theta direction, equal to 0. Okay, so this is due to symmetry we can write. And we only have along the x direction we have u, along the z direction we have w. So these are the displacements. Okay, so this is due to symmetry. We don't have v in this direction. If there is a v, then there will be warping in the cross section, warping of the cross section within the cylinder. So we don't consider that type of warping, so therefore we are considering v equal to 0 in this case, right? Next, if you do the balancing of the forces along x direction, so let me do that along sigma fx equal to 0, then I can get the equation as nx plus dnx by dx. So this, and also there is a minus nx, so I'll just group this, multiplied by this is r d theta along x direction, and also I have plus px, this is the pressure, into r d theta dx. R d theta dx is the area of this shell geometry. So this is equal to 0. So therefore I can write this by simplifying. Nx can be removed, so therefore I can write this as dnx by dx. Dx r d theta, dx r d theta can be removed, so therefore plus px equal to 0. I'll call this as equation number 1. And if I look at the previous page, so this was the first equation we have, right? So in this x was the force along the x direction, so our pressure along the x direction. Therefore this n phi x is equal to 0 because of the symmetry, therefore the equation is same, right? So we can also derive it from the equation which we are already previously derived. Fine. Next we can also write the equation of equilibrium along the z direction. So therefore I can write it as sigma f z equal to 0. Sigma f z equal to 0 will give me an equation d qx by dx plus 1 by r n theta plus pr equal to 0. I am directly writing this equation, so you can also derive this from one of the previous thing we have done. So this is sigma fz equal to 0, dqx by dx, q phi is equal to 0 because it's not changing along this direction, n phi by r, that is equal to n theta by r, and z is equal to pr in our picture we have shown, right. So this is the second equilibrium equation, and similarly we can also write down sigma my equal to 0, sigma my equal to about this sigma my. So this is the moment equilibrium equation we are writing. So sigma my equal to 0 if you write, so I get d mx by dx r d theta. I am removing the mx part in this, is the only incremental change we are getting here, minus qx into r d theta dx equal to 0. So therefore I can easily write down that dmx by dx minus qx equal to 0. So this is equation 3. Fine. Therefore three equations of equilibrium we wrote. Equation 3, if you look specifically, this is actually basic beam equation. So if you remember the basic beam equation, we can get the shear force is the first derivative of the bending moment. So it's the same equation we also obtained for the cylindrical shell, which is axisymmetrically loaded. So therefore, and this equation number 1, this equation can be simplified as nx, equation 1 I am writing it as nx equal to minus integral px dx plus c. So this is a constant of integration. This is constant of integration. So therefore we have obtained this equation. Nx can be obtained directly from the load by doing some integration and then substituting. If you know the limits, you can directly do it right away, right. And if you look at this equation, we have the number of unknowns are nx, qx, n theta and mx. So we have 4 parameters, unknown parameters, but we have 3 equations of equilibrium. So we have to solve this indeterminate set of equations by doing whatever we can, by considering compatibility, by considering strain displacement, or whichever way possible we need to solve this. So what we do is we consider the strain displacement relationship. So we have to consider the strain displacement relationship. So in that we already know that epsilon x is written as du by dx, partial derivative I am changing it because it's an axisymmetric problem. Epsilon theta, which was equal to r minus w d theta minus r d theta divided by r d theta, which was equal to minus w by r. W is the transverse displacement. So therefore epsilon theta is equal to minus w by r. Do we get epsilon the gamma x theta, the shear strain? I don't know. You have to think about that, right? Next, sigma x we can write according to the Hooke's law as E by 1 minus mu square epsilon x plus mu times epsilon theta. This is from the Hooke's law. Hooke's law we have written like this. Therefore, I can write down nx is equal to integral from minus t by 2 along the thickness of the shell, t by 2 sigma x dz, which can be written as E integral of this is equal to t divided by 1 minus mu square times epsilon x plus mu times epsilon theta. This is the stress resultant along the x direction in terms of the strain. We can replace that with by the displacement terms. So that means nx, I can write it as Et divided by 1 minus mu square times du by dx minus mu times epsilon theta is equal to w by r. So therefore I had written the minus here. Okay, so I can simplify this as du by dx will be equal to 1 minus mu square by Et, so this has gone here, and multiplied by nx plus mu times w by r. Okay, so this is the epsilon x or du by dx in terms of nx and w. Okay, so we'll move ahead. Similarly, we can also write that n theta is equal to Et divided by 1 minus mu square from the Hooke's law, epsilon theta plus mu epsilon x, and we have integrated along the thickness. So this is equal to, therefore I am changing it by the sign, minus Et by 1 minus mu square. So w by r, this was actually minus, so I just put the other way around, minus mu du by dx, this is n theta, and the moment curvature relationship mx is equal to minus d times d square w by dx square. We have d square w by dy square is equal to 0 because it's a cylindrical surface. Cylindrical, we don't get this d square w by dy square is equal to 0. So therefore minus d times this plus Poisson's ratio times this curvature, so therefore this term is 0, and similarly we can also write m theta will be equal to mu times mx, okay, r minus d mu into d square w by dx square. Fine. Now we have from equation number 3, we have qx is equal to dmx by dx, and from 2 I can write the equation, that is equation 2, this is the equation 2. I am substituting qx is equal to dmx by dx, therefore this is equal to d square mx by dx square plus n theta by r plus pr is equal to 0. This is n subscript theta, okay, is equal to 0. Therefore I substitute mx now in terms of this curvature, therefore I get d square by dx square minus d square w by dx square minus Et by 1 minus mu square into r, w by r minus mu du by dx plus pr equal to 0. Therefore I can simplify this as d4 w by dx to the power 4 plus Et w by r square. I have simplified this equation, mu times nx by r minus pr equal to 0. So this is the simplified equation which we have obtained. Or I can also change this slightly. So what I do is just I write it d4 w by dx4 plus I change this parameter to 4 beta to the power 4 w minus mu times nx by r equals pr, I am taking this side, pr, this d will come down. So here beta to the power 4 is equal, so there is a d here, beta to the power 4 is equal to E t divided by 4 r square d. So therefore the same equations we get. R, in other words, this is also equal to 3 into 1 minus mu square, d I am substituting, into r square into t square. Okay, E t cube by 12 into 1 minus mu square is d, that I have substituted. So beta has a unit of 1 by L. So therefore this equation is constant in that case. This unit is maintained, right? So that's what we intend to do. When in this problem, let us simplify this problem further by considering that there is no axial load. When there is no axial load, so that means n is equal to 0. If no axial load, nx equal to 0. So if nx equal to 0, what will happen to this du by dx, the epsilon x, that will be equal to mu times w by r. Okay, so this is my equation number 4, and this equation I am writing as it is, nx equal to 0 here. So therefore d4 w by dx4 plus 4 beta to the power 4 nx equal to 0, this is equal to pr divided by d, equation number 5. So equation number 5. So this is what it looks like, right? Du by dx is equal to mu into dw by r, d4 w by dx4 is plus 4 beta 4 is equal to pr by d, right? Therefore equation 4, now if you go back to equation 4, if I integrate this, if I integrate equation 4, I directly get u. Okay, I directly get the displacement along x direction, the axial displacement. But to get the w, it's similar to the beam equation, right? But it represents a beam equation which is lying on an elastic foundation and which is subjected to this pr by d. Otherwise this equation is same as compared to the beam equation. So this is just equation 5 is an ordinary differential equation with a constant coefficient. So we have a method to solve this ODE with constant coefficient. We can do that, right? So how do we solve this equation? So to solve this equation, we have two parts. One is the homogeneous part. The homogeneous part is due to the left hand side of this equation, and considering this right hand side equal to 0, and we get the particular integral only for this the RHS, because there is a constant coefficient on the right hand side. Okay, so therefore the solution for this problem then now will be in this form. We have W homogeneous equation is a fourth order equation. We will be getting 4 terms in this. So let us assume that we have C1 into e to the power of m1x plus C2 e to the power of m2x plus C3 e to the power of m3x plus C4 e to the power of m4x, right? What are these? C1, C2, C3 and C4. These are the constants. We get these constants from the boundary conditions. And this M1, M2, M3 and M4, these are the roots of expression, which is shown here, equation 5. Equation 5, I simplify it in terms of this m to the power 4 plus 4 to the power beta to the power 4 equal to 0. We are writing the homogeneous solution, so therefore we are making the right hand side of this equal to 0. Now we need to solve this. So how do I write this equation now? So I can just change this equation, m square plus 2 beta square whole square minus 4 m square beta square will be equal to 0. Okay, if I do this, m to the power 4 plus 4 b to the power of beta to the power 4 plus 4 m square beta square. So if I subtract this, I have to change this equation. That's it. Okay, so therefore now I have the solution m square plus 2 beta square is equal to plus minus 2 m beta. Okay, so this is the solution. So now we have to bring it here. I am just manipulating this equation, m square plus 2m, this is plus, so I will make it minus 2m beta. This plus or minus we will use it later. 2m beta plus 2 beta square equal to 0. This is a quadratic equation where a is equal to 1 with the coefficient here, and b is equal to minus 2 beta, and c is equal to 2 beta square. So in order to solve this, we know that m1 comma 2 is equal to what? m1 comma 2 is equal to minus beta minus b plus or minus under root b square minus 4ac divided by 2a. If I substitute here, I get minus b is equal to 2 beta plus or minus 4 beta square minus 8 beta square divided by 2, which is equal to 2 beta plus or minus, so this is minus 4 beta square, so that becomes now equal to 2 beta I is an imaginary minus 1 will come divided by 2. So therefore m is equal to, there are solutions, beta, I simplify this into 1 plus or minus I. There is another plus or minus we ignored before, so this was another plus or minus. So these are the 4 roots of the characteristic equation which we obtained here, right? So based on this, now we have to solve this problem. How do we solve this problem? Now we know this WH is equal to these things. We have to substitute for M1, M2, M3, M4. C1, C2, C3, C4 we have to find out from some boundary conditions, which is problem specific. Therefore, I can write down this homogeneous solution WH is equal to, I am substituting this here and grouping it, e to the power minus beta x into C1 e to the power I beta x plus C2 e to the power minus I beta x plus e to the power beta x, C3 e to the power I beta x plus C4 e to the power minus I beta x, right? This is the equation. And now we have the particular integral WP. I just write this is f of x. This is constant actually, therefore it has to be some function of x. Now you know that it is equal to PR by D. PR is a radial pressure. Since we have already solved this type of equation in the membrane theory, the membrane solutions can be put in as a particular solution in case of the bending theory. So if you mix bending theory from here and the membrane equations from the one we have derived earlier, so we can get the membrane theory equation that is for the particular solution. So this can be done using the membrane theory. Okay, so therefore now we have final W which is equal to WH plus WP. I am just writing it as minus beta x C1. I am just changing this, C1 cos beta x plus C2 sin beta x plus e to the power beta x C3 cos beta x plus C4 sin beta x into plus f of x, that is a particular integral solution. Okay, now we need to obtain C1, C2, C3, C4 from the boundary condition. So we get C1, C2, C3 and C4 from the boundary conditions. Okay, so that we have to solve using the boundary condition. So these are the constants we have to find out from the boundary conditions, and based on this we can get what is the displacement W, that is the radial displacement or the transverse displacement of the cylinder, along the x direction, because it doesn't change with respect to the theta direction, so we can easily find out the transverse displacement along z direction. Okay, so to explore this, we can use a simple example which shows how we can use the boundary condition and solve this problem. Right, now let us assume a simple case where I have a cylindrical shell. Okay, this shell, I am just showing the cross section of this. It is subjected to internal pressure or the pressure like this, external pressure, and which is only acting at some point here, right? So this is equal to P, this is the z direction and this is the x direction of the cylinder. Okay, so this is the side view and this is the cross sectional view of the cylinder, right? So this is actually the bending problem of a cylinder. So this diameter is equal to 2r for this. Okay, this is P, pressure. Cylinder, which is infinite cylinder, that means it has got a very bending problem of a cylinder with a very large length. We are considering it as an infinite cylinder or a pipe. Okay, there is no pressure in this problem. There is no pressure PR acting throughout the surface, so it's only acting at certain points. So we need not consider the radial pressure acting PR, so that the particular solution should be there. So there is no PR acting on this. Distributed over the surface. Okay, so therefore we also have Nx equal to 0, no axial force, and the particular this solution equal to 0 because there is no pressure PR. Therefore our W equation is just the homogeneous solution, e to the power minus beta x C1 cos beta x plus C2 sin beta x plus e to the power beta x into C3 cos beta x plus C4 sin beta x. Okay, these are the this already we have derived. Therefore we have the shell is symmetric. Shell is symmetric. Therefore we can say as x tends to infinity, it says infinite cylinder. What happens? There is no displacement when as x tends to infinity. You go, because the load is very applied at a very confined point. So if you go far away from that, the displacement is 0 and its derivatives are 0, right? So W equal to 0 and derivatives of W with respect to x are also equal to 0, right, as x tends to infinity. What will happen as x tends to infinity? E to the power this infinity will become equal to infinity, whereas e to the power minus infinity will be equal to 0. So this term will go 0, but this term also has to be 0. So therefore we get a condition that C3 equal to C4 equal to 0, then this W can be 0. So therefore we already can write C3 and C4 are 0. So therefore what is left is W is equal to e to the power minus beta x C1 cos beta x plus C2 sin beta x. Now it's a very simple simple equation with C1 and C2 are the constants. Since we have nx equal to 0 and n theta will be equal to what? It is equal to minus Et by 1 minus mu square W by R, and this is equal to du by dx, minus du by dx, right? So minus mu times du by dx. Du by dx is equal to Wr again. So therefore I can easily say mu square W by R. So therefore 1 minus mu square goes. So therefore I can easily write this is minus Et W by R. This is the n theta. N theta is directly function of W. Once we get W, easily we can write what is n theta. And also we have mx equal to minus d square W by dx square, and m theta is equal to minus mu d square W by dx square. And also we have qx is equal to dmx by dx, which is equal to minus d cube W by dx cube. Okay, so this is the condition. Now what is the boundary condition that we have in this problem to solve for C1 and C2? Now if you assume that when x is just 0 or just right of the load, just immediately right to the load, what happens is the shear force here will be equal to P by 2, right? So we assume that P by 2 is taken care by this side of the cylinder and P by 2 is taken care by the left side of the cylinder. So therefore we can say that just after the load, the shear force will be equal to P by 2, and that is in the opposite direction, and on the other side it will be equal to minus P by 2. So we can only consider one side of the problem. Therefore the boundary conditions we have is immediately right to the load. Immediately right to the load we have qx, which is equal to minus d cube W by dx cube should be equal to minus P by 2, because it is in the opposite direction, and the slope has to be 0 there, dw by dx equal to 0. The displacement has to be maximum and dw by dx will be 0 in that case. So that means each half of the cylinder carries one half of the external load. At x equal to 0, we substitute d cube W by dx cube is equal to this, and dw by dx equal to 0. So dw by dx equal to 0. Therefore we can get C1 is equal to C2, which is equal to P by 8 beta cube d. Therefore W is equal to P by 8 beta cube d e to the power minus beta x into sin beta x plus cos beta x. Okay. What we can observe is that the deflection here is function of this sin and cos. It's a harmonic function, and there is one important factor here is e to the power minus x, right? Exponentially what happens is if the distance increases, the displacement W actually attenuates exponentially. It's just like a damped sine wave, right? So if I plot this, somehow it looks something like this, not to scale, right, but it attenuates and it comes to this. Or if you want to consider sine curve and sine beta and cos beta into also consideration, so it also decreases like this, right? It attenuates and goes to 0. I'm not saying here it is some value, but it goes to 0. Fine. So therefore we can write the W equations. Once you know the W equation, you can get the bending moment, you can get the qx, you can get n theta already we have written, And what is maximum W? W max, we can get it by substituting x equal to 0. If you substitute x equal to 0, this becomes 1, this is 0, and this is 1. So therefore I get P divided by 8 beta cube D, which is also equal to P, can just change it, P r square beta divided by 2 E times T. Either way I can write it, right? R, what is moment maximum? In this case it will be P divided by 4 beta. Okay, we can similarly write down what are the expressions for n theta, mx, m theta, qx. Okay, so these are the maximum values. So like that we can solve any number of simple problems which we can easily solve using the bending theory of the cylindrical shells. But we have already simplified this equation to such an extent that only the variable we are worried about is the W. Otherwise, the normal bending equation which we derived previously, you had a lot of variables. It's difficult to solve, but to solve simple examples, we can do some simplification. With some accuracy, we can also solve these problems for membrane theory equations and bending equations. Both can be merged together. In the bending theory, the membrane solution becomes the particular solution, and you can easily solve this equation. So we can easily solve some of the examples of this kind, right? Thank you.